Thank you. I am also happy to join here, and on my part, I appreciate this initiative by International Relations Council to put together such a webinar where different streams of wisdom come together. I have been especially asked to throw some light on meditation. Meditation is a very popular word. All over the world, people are interested in meditating, but very few people actually meditate. And in the matter of meditation, we can talk about it on different levels vertically and on different points horizontally. By horizontal, I mean there are so many kinds of meditation, especially depending upon some kind of support that people take. Somebody may take a mantra for support. Somebody may use some instrumental music as a support for what he calls meditation. And somebody else may try to focus on the flame of a candle, and he calls it meditation. Now, opinion is divided on what actually is true meditation. And I, in my life, have been very deeply touched by the great iconoclastic thinker, J. Krishnamurti. He was somebody who questioned a whole lot of concepts, ideas, and fanciful pictures people have about the so-called spirituality and their meditation too. So, in this particular event, on this occasion, I wish to touch upon certain really profound insights into meditation. I do not want to go into so many techniques or methods or various practices so much, especially representing the vision of J. Krishnamurti. I wish to say that there are certain fundamental issues with regard to meditation. When somebody meditates, what is his state of mind? Does he plan to achieve something? Does he aspire to become somebody? Does he hope, even as he is meditating, that here I am meditating and very soon I will be a better person? Now, everyone should get better, there is no doubt, but think of it. To entertain a thought, I will be better, I will be stronger, needs to be examined again. In our society, as you and I know very well, anywhere and everywhere, there is unfortunately a lot of competition. Sometimes we say, we are into a kind of rat race. A question arises, are we into a rat race even in the matter of spirituality, fitness, yoga, or so-called healthy living? Now you may say, what kind of question are you asking? There is no rat race in spirituality. That is where I request you to pay a little more attention to what I am saying. Outwardly, there may not be a competition, but at the level of thought, at the level of what kind of motive that we hold or have in our bosom, one better check again. To share a quote from Jiddu Krishnamurti, he said, the true meditation is where the meditator is not. Mind-boggling, it can be very puzzling to many people, for one may wonder, what does it mean? True meditation is where there is no meditator. You see, this is a little mystical language. A little mystical poetry is involved, we do not deny. But if you pay heed to what is said, by saying true meditation is where there is no meditator, what is meant is somebody who wants to become someone, somebody who entertains a certain ambition, somebody who is actually doing anything and everything, whether it is some secular activity or so-called spiritual activity, if somebody is doing it in order to prove who he is or of what worth he is. Suppose you and I are doing something to settle score with somebody or to show to somebody who we are. Now, really speaking, if we were to put a lens and see our flow of thoughts very carefully, there is not a single moment during our waking hours where we are not carrying the burden of some hurt, some anxiety, some kind of fear. Where am I? In the world where we are doing business or working somewhere to earn, we have such anxiety. Have I made enough money? Have I got promotion at the right time? Am I ahead of others? Or am I way behind and have all others gone ahead? Such thoughts do come to us in the so-called world. But if we carefully examine, it is the same mind which is trying to meditate. And in spiritual practices also, the mind is likely to have certain personal concerns. It is in that context that we must appreciate the statement, true meditation is where the meditator is not. Another word used here is where the self is not. For the biggest problem in human life is not something outside, including COVID. The biggest problem is the self. By the self is meant self-interest. I, me and my. And whether it is in the materialistic world or in the so-called spirituality, I must add so-called, for otherwise spirituality per se is sacred, is pure, is wonderful. But when it comes to anybody's actual practice, it becomes so-called spirituality. Everything is an adjustment. Everything is under certain pressure. Now, two speakers, I really appreciated their points, told all of us the importance of living a balanced life. Now, when typically a man tries to live a balanced life, now that becomes one more pressure on his mind which it should not be. But that is where we need to examine the human psyche. Therefore, there is something in spirituality called self-awareness. We must have right diet, we must do yoga, we must go for walk, we must have early dinner. There is no question of disputing that. They are true. But even as we are trying to incorporate various good habits, even as we are trying to include good things in our daily life, with what state of mind are we going about it? This brings me to a very important topic within the larger context of meditation. There is one kind of meditation where we sit and do, where it is all about pursuing some technique, going by some steps. There is another meditation where, with due respect to the first kind, the second one is where there is an insight into the foolishness of our being personally ambitious. A certain insight into what am I trying to prove and with whom am I trying to settle score? Why am I living in this endless rivalry, endless rat race? One sees the shallowness, one sees the narrow-mindedness. One sees, even as one is pursuing wealth or pleasure, one sees how that pursuit is questionable. And what we really need is to stay in love, to stay in peace. What we really need is to be in a state of mind where we don't desire anything as such. We must count our blessings, and generally that is the last thing we do. We don't count what we have. We are always looking at something that we don't have. The grass on the other side looks greener. If I have sounded too philosophical, let me try to make things a little more clear. What I am touching upon is to stay aware of thought is itself the highest kind of meditation. Awareness and attention are the crux of the matter. What we do externally, what we chant or what we concentrate upon, or what symbols we may have in front of us, they may play some role. They may have a place in the larger scheme of things. But the crux of the matter is, are we aware of our own hidden motives? Therefore, Jiddu Krishnamurti questioned all the techniques, all the methods, and all the orchestrated ways of so-called spirituality. And he asked us to look within. He said, there is this light within yourself. Light within oneself is our ability to know our own behavior. Instead of taking a look at the way we are behaving, we go on thinking, where am I now? Where will I reach in the next 1 year, in the next 5 years? What are my goals? So psychologically, we create new prisons for ourselves. Krishnamurti used to say to us, constantly watch the movement of the self. Therefore, awareness and attention are the golden words here. Now you may say, still it sounds more philosophy than something concrete. That is because we are so used to doing. Once I asked a student of mine, can you please sit quietly for 10 minutes? He said, surely, if you say, I am starting it today itself. And he was about to leave my room. But he turned back and said to me, okay, I will sit 10 minutes quietly, but what do I do during that 10 minutes? Oh, sitting quietly for 10 minutes also he wants to do something. So, apart from humor, we must sympathetically, in fact compassionately look at this issue. The thing that is next to impossible for you and me is to sit quietly. There is glory of doing in human life. There is great glory of doing very many things in the outer world and in the so-called domain of various yogas. Karma yoga, jnana yoga, raja yoga, bhakti yoga, many things are talked about. Everywhere there are things that we may do and there are benefits, no denying. But I wish to draw the attention of all of you. There is certain glory of, if you understand it rightly, there is a certain glory of not doing anything. Can you go for a 20 minutes walk and for heaven's sake not worry about future, not worry about the past, and if thoughts come, look at them, just try to understand them, neither add to them nor suppress them, neither call them bad thoughts, condemn them, nor say, I am almost one inch short of Vivekananda now. I am almost there. What a noble thought I got today during my walk. This kind of getting into judgmentalism of thoughts, is it easy to let go of it? We must take this as a challenge. Friends, in this sense, to be with ourselves, to be with whatever there is. If there is anger, to be with anger, without judging, without saying, this is bad, I should not be angry. Now, there was anger, number one. Now you put a label, I should not be angry. And another time, this is how I want to. I want to have more and more such thoughts. So, this mental chatter This noise is something that we need to look at. And pure meditation, thus, is not really something that we do with due respect to 100 things that are beneficial, but the higher understanding of meditation is to be in a state of gentle awareness where the real meditation takes place. Therefore, in contrast to the so-called conscious meditation, spontaneous meditation is a cut above. It has its own beauty. Thank you.